Reinsman Equestrian here with 11-time World Champion Charmayne James. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
It's great to be with you, Dara.
Well, you recently were inducted into the ProRodeo Hall of Fame, which is a prestigious honor in itself. So not only did you get that award, but there were also some other aspects of the event that were really special. Can you tell us about that?
Well, probably the most special part of it was getting to join Scamper there. It was 22 years ago Scamper was inducted into the ProRodeo Hall of Fame, and at that point the members of the WPRA, the Women's Pro Rodeo Association, had not been included in that ProRodeo Hall of Fame. And so finally Doreen Wintermuth, president of the WPRA, had worked tirelessly to make the barrel racers a part of that ProRodeo Hall of Fame, and thanks to Carl Stressman with the PRCA and the Hall of Fame, this was the first year that they made it possible for the barrel racers to be included in there. And so definitely a great honor, great for all the barrel racers. You know, we've gone hand in hand, you know, side by side with the Cowboys at the National Finals Rodeo. The barrel racers have, you know, been in their truck and trailer thousands and thousands of miles up and down the road, competing alongside of them at the top rodeos throughout the year. You know, Greeley, Colorado, Cody, Wyoming, St. Paul, Oregon, you know, some of those big rodeos all across the country. So to finally be honored in the ProRodeo Hall of Fame, it's really hard to put words into it. You know, a lot of people are like, well, it's about time. You know, sometimes great things take time, and I'm not looking at it like that. I'm just appreciative to, you know, finally make it in there.
Oh, definitely. So you started barrel racing at a young age and won your first world title at the age of 14. Were there any idols or mentors that helped you along the way or that you looked up to?
You know, I have to think that my parents were probably my mentors. I really, you know, my dad was such a great horseman, and my parents were so involved in everything that we did. And just, you know, the more I look back on it, my parents are such good, humble, just good Christian people, and that upbringing was so important. And so I really didn't necessarily have an idol, and probably part of that is growing up in Clayton, New Mexico, out in the middle of nowhere. We didn't have TV there because the generators and the motors from the mill where we lived affected the signal for our TV. And so at night when the motors weren't running, we might pick up Amarillo so we could watch Bonanza and the Virginian. So probably just didn't know about a lot of people out there. And Sherry Elms was winning the World Championship barrel race in 1982. And I remember seeing a Women's Pro Rodeo newspaper and seeing her name in there, and she'd won like 14,000, and I was like, oh my gosh, you could pay for a truck.
Yeah.
Of course, little did I know that there's entry fees and gas. You just, when you're that young, you haven't quite put it all together yet. But
sure.
I was like, okay, so I could win barrel racing and make a living doing this. And watching Sherry Elm, she was a very nice, very sweet, very humble person when I first started going out and competing. And so there was Sherry Elms. Leanne Gilkey was another one. In 1984, when I won my first world championship, Leanne Gilkey and I were first and second all year long for the world championship. But Leanne was one of those people. She would always, you know, speak. She was always friendly. She was always checking on us. Hey, did, you know, you and your mom, you know, make it okay? Everything all right? She's just one of those good people, and it didn't matter if I was winning or she was winning, you know, the world championship at the time. She was just one of those good people. And so I'm very fortunate to have made it, you know, out into the scenes, and people that I looked up to were just really good, humbled people. And I think that start was huge for me.
Oh gosh, that sure sounds like it. So what was the best piece of advice you received during your career?
Um, I think I've received a lot of great advice and some that wasn't so great, but one of the things that stuck out in my mind was, my dad always told me have good hands. And my mom and dad probably always reinforced treating, all horses and livestock with respect. And so that was huge in itself, but the most important thing from that was that I didn't get heavy-handed. I didn't pull a lot. People don't always understand what good hands are. It's not about throwing the reins away. And so I think that advice, looking back, was so huge because it really taught me from an early age to keep my horse in my hands.
Sure.
Not to over pull, because that's probably one of the things a lot of barrel racers do, is they get too handsy and too quick and too fast, and horses don't know when the next hand is pulling. It's kind of like taking the slack out of the chain if you're towing a car. You don't want that slack taken out of the reins and those horses to get that jerk. And my dad, if I jerked or was mean to my horse, my dad wouldn't let us ride, and we didn't have iPads, we didn't have video games, we didn't have all that stuff when we were young. So my horse was all that to me, and so if I didn't get to ride, so those little things in the beginning, I'm going to say, were probably some of the most important things I learned.
Yeah, that's great. So in addition to your success as a rodeo athlete, you also have endorsed products. So how many products and how did they come to be?
Well, there's a lot of products. We have a whole line of bits in mind, and the bits for the horses, most barrel racers, that's their first go-to if they're having problems, is let's get a new bit. And so I don't really say, hey, go get a new bit, that's going to fix it all. Usually it's not a bit issue. However, you got to have good hands. You need a good equine dentist. That mouth needs to be put together. The horse needs proper training. And so every horse's mouth is a little bit different. Okay, one may have a fat tongue, one may have a wider mouth, a narrower mouth, a higher palate, a lower palate. And in a way their headset ties into their neck, there's going to be one particular bit that suits that horse over another one. So what I tried to do when I created the line of bits was to create a lot of options where you could kind of fit all those horses to get your needs. Some horses may not particularly have a training in riding in a ported mouth, a solid mouthpiece, solid, a stable shank where there's not a lot of flex in it. A horse may not be used to riding in that, and the horse is used to riding in something with a broken mouthpiece, and there would be no reason to ever go to that. But keeping in mind, we don't want bits that are going to pinch or hurt a horse, and so we created a line of bits to kind of suit that broad range of horses, so that we have a line of bits. I've also created a saddle off of a tree, and that tree is going to fit most all horses really, really good without it having a rise in the back. A big one for me is not pinching the shoulders. They've got to have room in those shoulders, and you can take a horse that's got a saddle that fits too narrow in the withers and in the shoulders area and put my saddle on them, and it's amazing how much freer they can move those shoulders. And so with that saddle, and in mind with that, I wanted a saddle that you could still sit down in it. You could get up out of it where it didn't just keep you sucked down in there, because a lot of horses need that. They need to feel the difference whether you're sitting, whether you're coming forward. You don't want a saddle that just keeps you sucked down in that sitting position or always pushed forward. And if the stirrups are too far back behind you, that's going to make you feel forward, because when you sit down, that's when that tells your horse, hey, we got to get ready for the turn. It's time to turn. Not everything is done with just your hands and the bit. Half of things are done with your legs and your body. So you have to have a saddle that is geared towards that. So we have that saddle, and I'm hoping, that we could come out with some more products, even with Reinsman. But we have head stalls our head stalls are geared towards, the bits that have the higher purchase. The purchase is the area above the shank. So you need a shorter side piece on those head stalls. So we've got tack that's geared towards the bits. We have extra long curb chains. When you have that long purchase, you need an extra long curb chain to make the bit work properly. So we have created that. And so it's been really exciting to develop these products and go out and teach and see how they work for the horses and the people, and always begin to tweak and make changes to make them better.
Oh, definitely. It's always great to see happy horses under saddle. And when you get that difference, that's a great accomplishment, not only for you, but to help that person.
Right.
So lastly, what is a good life lesson that you can tell people who are rodeoing or trying to get their start about the highs and lows of rodeo?
There's going to be a lot of life lessons. I think the biggest life lesson is that you're going to have a lot of life lessons. And I think probably for everybody to remember that you're going to have some hard times out there. And it's those who have that strong will and that courage to dig through that, and to not worry about what the world is thinking about you and how you look. And you're going to make yourself, whether you think it or not. You may feel like an idiot, you may feel like you look like a fool, but you can do it. You have to persevere. You have to work through those hard times. And for me, I think that the mindset of always having, I need to ride better, I need to take better care of my horse, I need to figure out why this is happening, why am I not doing well? If you can kind of be very critical of yourself in a sense to make yourself do better is huge, because I feel like I was blessed to have Scamper. I mean, he's truly a gift from God, no doubt, and I think a gift to everyone out there by having good hands and taking care of him. He's a testament to what you can do and with one. So I think that shows everybody, but you're gonna fail, pick yourself up and move on. Yeah, no, it's exciting. And listen, getting to work with people in the beginning, for me, it was about the horses, helping the horses. And what I realized when I started teaching with the people is that I fell in love with the people. The people are great. They're all children of God, and we should all be there to help each other. And when you have that mindset to go out there, that you're going to make a difference in the lives of these people and the horses, there's nothing better than that. Surely more gratifying than going out and winning and trying to do it all yourself. But you had to go out there and win those 11 world titles and 19 NFR consecutive qualifications. That you have to do that so people will be like, okay, well, maybe you know what you're talking about. So sometimes I do, but for me, I'm just always working to lead people, in a better direction, in a good way, to take care of their horses, to have fun. And so I just, I feel blessed to be able to do what I do.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.